Good morning and welcome to the Planning Hearing Officers hearing for October 17th, 2018. My name is Laura Stotler and I'll serve today as the Planning Hearing Officer. We have one case and the relevant exhibits are posted on the panel located directly behind me. The agenda, staff reports, and recommendation for each of today's cases can be found on the city's website. A copy of the hearing procedures are available on the counter by the door next to the agendas and also copies of the staff report. Today we have an application for a parking reduction permit. All parking reduction permits shall meet the procedures and criteria set forth in Section 30.32.070A and Table 30.32-B with qualifying project features. A discussion of these findings are included in the staff report. If the evidence presented in the application and at the hearing today meets the criteria, then the planning officer can either approve or impose conditions for approval on the case in question. If the findings in fact are not evident, then the request will be denied. Notification of this public hearing was accomplished by the use of public notices, which were mailed to property owners and occupants located within 500 feet of the subject property. Notices were physically posted on the site in question, and notices were also placed in the local newspaper and on the city's website. Hearings will proceed as follows. I'll read a description of the requested entitlements. The case planner will then make a brief overview of the case, give an analysis, and make a recommendation. The applicant will then be asked to come forward, stating both name and address, and will be asked to present a case within a 15-minute time limit. Others in support of or in opposition to the application and any interested parties will then be asked to come forward to speak, stating both name and address, and they will have a 3-minute time limit. Lastly, the applicant will be given the opportunity to make closing comments if desired in response to any testimonies given by preceding speakers, and he will have a 5-minute time limit for the rebuttal. The hearing will be closed and then the case taken under submission. After the hearing, a decision will be prepared in writing and will be in the form of a letter sent to the applicant and to all persons who have responded to the public notice, either by speaking today at this hearing or who have given a written response. The date of the decision will be the date appearing on the letter. However, if a decision is made at this hearing, the decision date will be today's date and a 15-day appeal period, and these are calendar days, will start today. Under the appeal provision of Title 30, Chapter 30.62 of the Glendale Municipal Code, the decision may be appealable to the Glendale Planning Commission within 15 days of the date of the decision. That would be the date on the letter. Anyone wishing to appeal may obtain forms and brochures on the procedures from the Permit Services Center located in room 101 of this building. We have speakers cards. These are the green cards by the door. Right now I only have one, so if anybody else wishes to speak on this item, please provide a card. If you wish to speak, please write your name and address on one of the speakers forms which have been provided by the front door and submitted to our planning assistant. I would also like to inform everyone that the official proceedings of the hearing are being reported or recorded as part of the public record. So I'd like to start the meeting now. Our first agenda item is located at 501 South Central Avenue, 308 West Lomita Avenue. It's a requested adoption of a mitigated negative declaration and a parking reduction permit PPRP 1817379. The applicant is Arm Alajajian of Alajajian Marcusi Architects, and our staff presentation will be by Kathy Duarte.
Thank you, Hearing Officer Stotler. The applicant is proposing to construct a 17,826 square foot, 3-story office retail building over a 8,325 square foot subterranean parking garage on an 8,400 square foot lot, which is located at the southwest corner of Central and Lomita Avenue. Development of the project will require the demolition of the existing 720 square foot counter service restaurant, which is located at 501 South Central Avenue and which was built in 1948, and also the demolition of the existing 918 square foot house located at 308 West Lomita, which was built in 1921. The applicant is requesting to provide 51 on-site parking spaces, 30 of which are accessible, 4 are tandem, and 17 are lift operated, where 49 spaces are required. The subject property is zone C31, which is the community services commercial service zone. As you mentioned, After conducting an initial study, the Community Development Department prepared a mitigated negative declaration for the project. In terms of the neighborhood zones and uses, the surrounding properties are Zone C31, as is the big proposed site. North of the property is Lomita Avenue, south is a funeral home, east is Central Avenue, and then west is a two-story apartment building. We did receive some comments from Public Works Engineering, which require off-site improvements along the entire frontage of the property along Central and Lomita Drive. A dual sump pump for the subterranean parking, and the condition that the mechanical list be in operation at all times. Additionally, the traffic section stated they would not require a parking study because the project generates less than 50 a.m. or p.m. peak trips. Staff believes that the findings for the parking reduction permit can be made, and which can be found in the staff report, and recommends that the mitigated negative deck be adopted and that the parking reduction request be granted. Oh, additionally, we also received 2 letters in opposition, which you have received copies.
Okay, and this would be the letter from Wolfgang Kraus and also the letter from Wayne Cruz.
Correct.
Okay, I've received those.
That's my presentation if you have any questions.
I do have questions. It looks like one of the buildings to be demoed is an older house. Was it historic?
No, it was not found to be a resource.
Okay, thank you. I have no further questions for you. Then I would like to call forward the applicant, Aram Alajajian, please. And then I see other people in the audience. If anybody else wishes to speak, would you please fill out one of the green speakers request forms? They're located by the door. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning. I'm Aram Alajajian, the applicant of this project and the project architect. Address is 320 Arden, Suite 120, City of Glendale. Just to briefly describe the project, it is a 2-story with three-story office building. It doesn't exceeds the height requirement. We are within the FAR and meeting all the code requirements in this.
Okay.
The only thing that we're asking a parking reduction. Parking reduction is asked for because of some specific reasons on this. We're asking for a general office space in this building. And the general offices normally varies from the type of uses that they go for, such as, from architect's office to insurance offices. And this case is going to be a high-tech office, which is more, it's definitely going to require less parking, based on our expertise and understanding. And the owners of the property are here. If you have any questions for them, they can respond to that. The described retail, which is on the first floor, basically going to serve the building, so it's not a retail that is going to be visited from the outside. It's only 375 square feet, which is really a minimum space, and it's like a snack shop or a candy shop or similar type of a retail would go on the first floor. Now the second and third floor, which would house basically the uses of the office. Office employees will arrive, it is 8:30 to 5:30 hours of operation, and will arrive at that time, and there are technically no visitors here, basically this is a strict office building. And some of as I consult to my clients, they stated that some of these employees, though they do work, although they're employed here, but they do work outside. They arrived in a certain hours and they leave the office in a certain hours for the tech services outside. Basically that's the description of this project, of the type of uses. The way the parking is designed, I wanted to bring it up to you that we didn't want to excavate more and additional floors, which was environmentally would be more impacting to the project. So the lift idea that is used throughout the world, and especially in Southern California and certain cities such as Los Angeles, Santa Monica, they're more advanced than us, so yeah, I think this project will help to mitigate, the lift will help to mitigate the issues of the parking. So by increasing the height of the ceiling, we are managed to put, as we provided the detail, 2 parking spaces in one spot. And we will have 2 parking attendants full-time at the hours of operation. As you can see on the plans, that we have gates that will lock the premises after the hours in operation, so nobody will be able to park on this location or come in and use the parking facility. We also have monitoring services such as the cameras throughout the project, especially the parking structure itself. And the way, if I may describe the way the operation is going to work, so we do have a parking attendant at the Lomita side where the parking entry is. If I may approach the board, I
Yes,
can
please do.
basically describe that for you. Thank you. So the way the parking operation will work, we allocated the certain parking spaces coming from the first driveway, which is only 7 parking spaces here. 2 of them are designated for ADA parking spaces. This will be free and open anytime. If the ADA person with a wheelchair will come into the facility, they will be able to park here. These are the 2 additional parking on a 5149 required. So 2 ADA parking would be accessible all the time.
All right.
Throughout the operation. So the wheelchair will come in, they could go into the lobby, take the elevator, and go to the office spaces. This is the retail space I was mentioning, 375 retail space, which is basically designated to serve the employees of the building. Now, the additional spaces here, they are free to park any time to come in and out. Our attendant would be standing right here at the street side, which is monitoring the second in and out from the Lomita Avenue.
Okay.
We don't have any entrance coming from the Central because Central is a primary traffic street, and we didn't want to bring in anything from there. So the most further one is being used for the attendant and for the most of the parking that will take the ramp down to the lower level. So for the description, if the first car arrived, the first ones will park right on the lift. And the parking attendant from here, they could see the arriving employees that are parking here. They would lift up the parking and free the space underneath, which would be the parking that the secondary parking will coming in here. And the same applies to the lower level. So they will drive. We have some tandem parking. We also have additional parking here, which is 5 of this is open for any time. So these are for the employees that come and go, mostly from the workplace. But those are the stationary ones that are staying 8 hours at the office.
Okay.
Yeah, they don't need to move that much. In case, say one of them needs to move urgently, today's electronics helps us a lot. On the telephone, their iPhone, they can ask the attendant, which is standing right here, and it's during the entire process, and the one attendant is going to be lower level at the lobby area, waiting for any instruction. And TV monitors will be up here and down at the lower level, and a lobby area at the first floor and the second floor too. So if they need to call in for their car. If the car is called in, the attendant will say, move this car back and bring in, lower the lift, and bring in the car upstairs, and the car would be waiting for you in 2 minutes.
Okay, so they'd have to go from the lobby out. What would be the path of travel for somebody who calls their car, they're in the lobby, how do they get their car?
Okay, so let's just say they're calling from the lobby, they will walk out here and get their car from here.
All right, okay.
And we have gates on both occasions, both entries of the driveways, that this will be locked after hours. And I don't think anybody will be able to enter to the parking if the building is locked.
Now, do you have a door at all to Central for people who are taking transit or?
Yeah, we have an entry door here. Obviously, they will have a key card opening the door. Anytime they want to come early, they can come in early and park here. And let's not forget, the entire project is operated by 2 people and 1 ownership. That would be very easy to maneuver. We don't believe we're gonna need all 49 spaces to be occupied during the operations. However, we're providing that plus additional 2 parking spaces.
So if you're a tech shop, essentially, I'm hearing it's a specialized business, a tech
Right.
business, so it's not like any other
Yeah,
regular
there are
office.
no
it's tech.
customers coming in
So you
or-
you run out and do tech calls, so you know, you are gonna need some accessible, and that's what these are, the
Right.
doors, so they can run out and, okay.
Correct.
What about, I'm concerned because Central is planned to be our main transit street, so I just wanna make sure we're not gonna have any traffic backing up into Central, so there's enough room then off Lomita, they can pull right, they don't have to
Right.
wait on
Exactly.
Lomita that would back up onto Central to actually
Right.
get into the
This
parking.
is furthermost point of the property, you know.
Okay.
I mean, this is as far as you can bring in the driveway.
Okay,
And obviously, you know, there's a curb line, you know, a color curb here, red line, so nobody can park in this area. So it just doesn't
It won't
allow
back
any
it up.
parking, yeah,
Okay.
for backing up.
yeah, that was my concern, if there's a delay with the time for the lifts, but the delay,
Correct.
okay,
Yeah.
so the lifts are remote controlled, you don't, the attendant doesn't have to be there actually pushing a button
No.
watching it, okay.
It is
All right.
remote control, it could be, you know, operated from the upper level.
Okay,
Yeah, we
Alright.
provided all the details on, down there, it's very simple, you know, it's very advanced technology. A lot of cities are using it, and, you know, I myself visited about a month ago a project, a hotel project in Santa Monica, which is using this very successfully. And they have more guests coming in and out, and they didn't have, and I talked to the attendant, I talked to the hotel management, they didn't have any problem. It was in the main street of Santa Monica. I don't exactly remember the address, yeah.
and did you have to do any special design with your building for fire, to meet fire department requirements and clearances, it meets all those clearances as designed?
Well, the height is here, it's maintained, so if we had to go with a, you know, say 49 parking spaces, we will be excavating further down here, which is, you know, you're talking about more dirt involvement, more environmental impact to the project. But this, we just have to increase the size of the height, which would accommodate two levels of, you know, lift. And
Okay.
it's all concrete envelope, so it doesn't need any special fire protection, you know, exits are provided. 2 exits from the building and 2 exits from the parking structure.
And then you can still have, I just wanna make sure that the lifts will work when you have a slope on the ramp, cause I noticed that looks like, at least on one of them, it says there's a 4 to 5% slope, I just wanna make
Yeah.
sure that's not enough to prohibit turning into the parking spaces and.
Not a
using
problem.
it.
We had calculated that. We have a 15% ramp going down here. We have 4%, which is allowed to have a surface parking, and a 15% coming down. Once you clear this area, underneath here, you already have the clearance of having the lift on there.
Okay, but I'm more concerned, cause I'm looking at these are accessing off a ramp,
Right.
and it says, this is 4.5, but when I look at the elevation, it actually looks pretty flat, is that,
That's just graphical.
that's just the okay.
Yeah, the
All right.
calculation is here. I think elevations are called out on the plan, so we should
But it can
follow
still, okay, I just wanna make sure that it doesn't have to be absolutely flat to get the lift to work.
No.
It can take some slope
No.
for,
If
okay.
if you
All
look
right.
at this, the lift also itself has the balancing legs that could adjust accordingly to the situation or the slope of the parking.
Okay, all right,
Thank you.
okay, thank you. I don't have any further questions. Is there anybody else who wishes to speak on this item? Because I see people in the audience and nobody else wants to speak. I guess. Okay, you're welcome to come up and speak and just give your name and address, and we'll ask you to fill out a form later. Please speak into the microphone, otherwise they can't hear you.
I represent Glendale Funeral Home, which is the building just adjacent to the building that you're constructing. And I guess one of our concerns is, like you said, the parking. What our parking area as it is already very small. And it is being used by like the church across the street, and other businesses tend to park in our parking structure. And when we have services, it tends to be very tight. So I would just want to make sure that because you are limited on parking spaces here, that there isn't public coming in to use the facility, you know, with the minimum parking spaces.
Okay. Thank you. Do you have any other comments, or?
That and, again, we are a funeral home, so we do hold services during the day as well as the evening. And the construction, if we do have a service, to respect to the family who is mourning at that moment, would the noise level be able to be reduced or minimum? I know I read something about the noise being low on construction. Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Those are my concerns.
Okay, thank
Thank
you.
you.
And then I'd like to call the applicant forward to provide a rebuttal.
Well, thank you for coming out. Appreciate that. Uh, You know, this building doesn't have a lot of customers, so we don't have a lot of going in and out. Obviously, with the help of a parking attendant, we are very much in control of what the parking is going to, how the parking is going to be operated. Now, as far as the noise level and during the construction, we will establish a hotline. If you can leave your phone number to us, yeah, you know, we can coordinate any kind of if the service is happening there, we would have our general contractor to be aware of it. Well, any construction has a dust and noise, but it will be very much controlled. And a hotline would be established, and we will have the phone number on the fence of the general contractor. Any questions, any ahead of a time services that needs to be rendered at the funeral home, we would be happy to know about it so we can coordinate that with them.
Okay.
Shouldn't be a problem.
And then a good point was raised that you have St. Mary's that's about across the street from your building. Are you going to be opening or allowing your parking to be used at all by St. Mary's, or is that something you're open to? I'm just curious if that might be a use you would want to do in the future, even if it's not contemplated now. Is that something you would want to leave it open in conditions of approval?
Well, it will be up to
for that.
my clients to discuss. If the weekends the office is empty, as I described, we have gates that would be shut down with non-hours of operation. You know, if there's a desire of some designated, you know, few parking spaces like 5 or 7, you know, I don't know if that's in the future. We don't want to plan that right now.
Okay. All right, fair enough.
Thank you.
Thank you. I have no further questions. I have no cards. Would you please make sure you fill out a speaker's card before you leave? Thanks. Therefore, since I have no other testimony, I'm now closing the public hearing. The case will be taken under submission, and I will be preparing a decision letter. Since there's no further items on the agenda, this meeting is now adjourned, and thank you for coming.